I know you've been thinking of buying your first home. If this is a good thing, congratulations on you having a thought to get a first home in a new country you found yourself. Now, you've been trying to save about $50,000, which is 10% of the dream house you want to buy as your first home. So that means you're dreaming of buying about $500,000 home. But when you're considering buying your first home, you need to understand that it is not just the down payment. There are closing costs that are associated to that. I'm not going to that actually. But remember, you still have to pick your monthly mortgage. You have to consider your monthly expense, which is maybe your hydro, your water bill, your property tax, and if there's any maintenance cost that would come associated with this home. Because remember, you no longer have a landlord. So if anything gets spoiled in this house, you need to pay out of your own pocket to maintain the home. And these are the expenses you need to consider when you want to buy a home. Now, when you're saving about $50,000 to buy your first home, it is a good thing, like I said initially. But you must be able to buy a home that you can comfortably pay the mortgage without you having to take extra shifts. Because nowadays, most immigrants, they actually buy big homes, 500,000, 600, 800,000. At the end of the day, they don't actually sleep in this home because they need to pick about 2 to 3 shifts for them to be able to actually afford the mortgage or the associated expense that come on a monthly basis with this home. And I do not want your case to be like that. That is why I'm going to be telling you three different things you can use that same $50,000 down payment to do, and you will still be able to achieve your home dream. So let's dive into it. Now you've saved $50,000 and you want to buy a $500,000 home. Can you afford the mortgage? If you can comfortably afford the mortgage with every other expense that is related to it without having to pick extra shift, then you're good to go. But if you cannot comfortably afford the mortgage without having to pick an extra shift, then you might want to reconsider getting a smaller home. Your first home is not always the home you live for maybe more than 5 years. Most people, after they buy a first home, you see 3 years to 5 years, they tend to change it to something that is more suitable for them, something that looks more fancier than what they currently have. And that is why you need to consider getting a smaller home to start with. So you can get a home of about $300,000 and you can still pay the 10%, right? Because you're saving $15,000 already. So you can pay $30,000 for the 10%, and you now have $20,000 extra. Remember, I said you will still be able to achieve your own goal. Just that you're not buying the very big house, but you're going to buy something comfortable that you can live in for the next 3 to 5 years, and you can sell to buy something that is more beautiful. Right, so let's assume you buy a home of $300,000. Definitely, your expenses for that home will be reduced compared to when you buy a home of $500,000. Now, the other $20,000 you have, we're going to be investing at least $10,000 to $15,000 into dividend-paying shares. Yes, dividend-paying shares, because we want to build cash flow. We want to build something that can either pick up our phone bill. Now, imagine you invest $15,000 into different shares, and maybe the shares cumulatively they return 10% annually. That means from that $15,000 you'll be making about $1,500 every year. Now if you look at your phone bill might just be about $1,500. That means your dividend shares is comfortably picking your phone bills. The $1,500 that you should have used to pay for your own bills, you can now direct it towards paying extra on your mortgage so that you can comfortably do what? Pay your mortgage off on time. So that is one way. Now, if you've invested $15,000 into dividend paying shares, you have $5,000, and we're going to be investing it in another business. And what we're going to be investing it in, it's going to be digital business. Business that all you need to do is to invest once, and over the years, it keeps bringing returns to you. There are so many digital businesses you can invest in. You can invest in maybe content creation. You can invest in learning a digital skill that you teach to others in order for them to pay you. Now, if you run a digital company, a digital product company, you can decide to start selling individual products. If you run a digital product company, you only create the product once. Remember, it is a digital product and it keeps giving you passive income over the years. So let's assume that you've invested $5,000 into this digital business and it returns about 10% annually. That means it's going to be returning about $500 annually. The $500, you can either push it towards the payment of your mortgage, you now have $2,000 annually that you can use to either pay down on your mortgage, or you can use it to do something that will also bring more cash flow. This is just a scenario based, just to tell you that you don't need that big house for your first home. Buy something comfortable, something you can afford, something you don't need to pick an extra shift for you to be able to pay the mortgage, and channel the other balance into you investing in something that brings cash flow to you. I hope you've learned something from this video. And if you have questions, just leave it in the comment. I'll do well to answer.